So we covered the Nintendo 3DS the other day, and games on that look great. So I thought let's just go back a generation and cover the original Nintendo DS. So my fiance's got a few games in her collection. I thought I'm going to check this one out through Retrobat, and we're going to look at some video settings on this, as always, and test out some games and look at what's the best for your setup. So check this one out. Okay then, so before I start today's setup guide on the Nintendo DS through Retrobat, just hit notifications for me and also subscribe if you like today's video. It gets you content as I upload it for several different front-end systems, and it helps my channel out greatly. So let's get into this. We are looking at NDS today on Retrobat. So what I always suggest is go into your Retrobat shortcut, right click on it and open file location. And inside file location, you're going to find BatGUI. Now this is a very handy tool to have in Retrobat. If we go to system list just here and we go to system at the top. Now let me just remind you, if you don't see any of this, then follow my full setup guide for Retrobat. It's quite likely that you've missed out a couple of files which you need to install. But on with this, what we're going to do is just drop this down and we're going to go to NDS. And from NDS, we can see the game file extensions we need are .nds, .zip, and .7zip. And we've also got a few different cores which Retrobat uses, and they're all very good. So let's just back out of here and back out again. So next thing we're going to need to do then is actually get some games, and we're going to drag these into our Retrobat ROMs folder. And let's just drag this down until we find NDS. So I've got a few games to test out on this, so you're going to need to bear with the video settings. So let's just go into my NDS folder, and I've got a few games to test out here. So let's just drag those into the ROMs NDS folder, and we can now close this one down. And we're also going to need some additional files to run the NDS game. So what we're going to do is go into BIOS, and we got some files here, and this is the files you need. So we got BIOS7.bin, BIOS9.bin, and just firmware.bin. So you can drag these three files inside of your Retrobat BIOS folder, and they just sit nicely just there. So you don't need to put them into any one of these subfolders. So let's open up Retrobat and get started with this. Okay, so once we're in Retrobat, we can now see Nintendo DS. And here we go. So here's the games, and I'm going to just go to main menu, go to scraper, and I'm going to just grab some artwork and a couple of preview videos for these. And once that's finished scraping, just head up to game settings, update game list, and really update game list, press yes. And here we go, beautiful. Right, so let me just let you know that with NDS games look really good with the decoration, which I'm going to show in a second, but some of the games can be a little bit awkward to get the right settings for video settings. So I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. So for now, let's just go with the default settings and open up Mario Kart DS.
Here we go! Yahoo! Here we go!
Okay, so as we can see, that looks fine. It looks great, but there's people out there like myself who likes nice visuals on these old retro games and maybe a full screen. So let me demonstrate how this gets a little bit tricky very quickly because each DS game are very different. For example, Sonic Rush we could turn into a full screen, but we also need the bottom screen of this one. And kind of the same for New Super Mario Brothers, but let's work with Mario Kart DS first. If I go into view options, advanced system options, now emulator is going to pick up the Retro Disemu, which is fine. So we can leave that on there. Shader set, I'm going to leave this one to auto. And decorations, I'm going to put to none for Mario Kart DS. Game aspect ratio, I do find by putting this on full, this is the best. So integer scaling, I'm going to put on. Vertical sync, yes, to reduce screen tearing, of course. Now, internal resolution, I find on DS games around times 2 to times 3 resolution is the best. If you go anywhere over times 3, and times 3 is a big push, games will lag and you will hear crackling in the sound. So I'm going to just bump this to times 2 for this one. And if we just drop down one to video under advanced settings, screen layout positioning, this is going to dictate where the dual screens are going to be located when we're playing our DS games. Now, for something like Mario Kart DS, we can easily just take away the bottom part of the screen and just use the top part. So to do this, I'm going to just go to top only, and you won't see the bottom half of the screen, but generally it's just a case of one button just to get you through into the gameplay. So I'm going to come out of here and just go down to visual rendering, smooth games by linear filtering, I'm going to put to on. Anti-aliasing, I can bump this up to 32 times, and quite likely so where your DS games aren't too demanding on your hardware, but I'm going to just go for 4 times on this. And bear in mind, this is still a massive improvement over the original look of your old DS games. Color depth, 32 bits, but just bear in mind, if you put 32 bits on, you'll need to change your driver to OpenGL. And if we go to smooth textures, again, only for OpenGL, as it says, I'm going to put yes to smooth textures. And audio, I'm going to go to resampler and put this to nearest. So let's back out of here. So with those settings in place, we're going to check out Mario Kart DS now and see how this looks with just the top screen.
Here we go! Here we go!
Okay, and as you can see, it's not entirely full screen, but to make this full screen, we'll have to go back to advanced system options. And if you go to internal resolution, you can make the screen a bit bigger, but like I said, if you alter the internal resolution, the higher up you go, the more lag it's going to produce. So very quickly, I'm going to just show you an example. If we go up to say times 5 on this and open up Mario Kart DS again.
Here we go!
And as you can see, I don't need to play any more of that because you understand that it's just going to lag. So for that reason, that's why I say put internal resolution to around 2 times to 3 times, and generally that's going to work fine. Okay, so let's look at something different. Let's look at Sonic Rush. Now, like I said, if you've not played Sonic Rush before, it's one of my favorite DS games. We need both sides of the screen, and you can see from the demo here that when Sonic goes downwards, we use the bottom half of the DS. Now, this can be a little bit tricky to achieve to get this perfect. I'm sure you can use this on default settings with the decoration of the DS. So first of all, what I'm going to do is just make all these settings back to auto again and turn everything off on this.
Sonic Rush! Let's do it!
So as we can see with Sonic Rush, we definitely need both sides of the screen, otherwise your game is going to be a little bit awkward to play. So we're going to go back to view options, advanced system options for this. Emulator again, I'm going to just leave this one to auto. Just take a look at the different cores we got here. So if we use something like Melon DS, some of your video options are going to be missing. So this is why I say leave this one to auto. Libretto Des is a very good core to be using, especially for video settings for DS on Retrobat. So shader set, I'm going to also keep this one onto auto. Decorations, now this is the part where I'm going to take away the decoration. And game aspect ratio, again, I'm going to put this one to full. Now, normally in my videos, I do say put to 16:9, but in the case of DS games, I just find it's just far too stretched for its own good. So I'm going to put this on full. Integer scaling to on, vertical sync to yes to reduce screen tear, internal resolution. Now, this is going to be the same case as the Mario Kart DS game. If we go past 2 to 3 times, things are going to start lagging. So I'm going to just put this one on ×2. And video, this is where we can change the layout of both of the screens. So we got a couple of options. So we can have left and right, but obviously we need it top to bottom to actually play this game properly. So for this reason, I'm going to just select top to bottom as it's auto. Screen sync, visual rendering, same story. So we're going to go to bilinear filter and turn this on. Anti-aliasing, again, I could go up to 32 times. And if you're running a lower end computer, then it's quite likely you could too. But I'm going to leave this one on 4 times. Color depth, 32 bits. Smooth textures for only OpenGL drivers only, remember. And back out. If you want to turn those particular options on which says OpenGL only, this is under drivers and video, and you can change your driver just here. So by auto, this should pick up OpenGL anyways. So let's come out and let's open up Sonic Rush once more.
Sonic Rush! Sonic Rush! Let's do it!
So as we can see by there, it's a very stretched image. So this is what I meant by the beginning of the video. Some of these DS games can be very frustrating to actually define to get perfect. So for this, I'm going to go back into View Options, Advanced System Options. So what I'm going to do this time is actually change the game aspect ratio, and I find the best one for this is actually 4:3. So let's open this one up again.
Sonic Rush! Let's do it!
So as we can see there, it's not perfect, but that works for me. So that's really up to you to experiment if you like a slightly stretched screen or not so much. Now, finally, the next one I'm going to open up is New Super Mario Bros. So again, what I'm going to do is just go to Advanced System Options and put everything back to the auto settings, or rather default settings, and show you how this looks.
Here I go! Bye-bye!
And as we can see, it's great, but it's also very small. So a little bit like Mario Kart on this one, we don't really need the bottom screen. But what we can do is just go to View Options again, Advanced System Options, Shader Set, I'm going to put to none, and Decorations also none to take away that DS on the sides. Game aspect ratio for this one, now I do find full on New Super Mario Bros. Actually works pretty good. Integral scaling, I'm going to put to on. Vertical sync to yes. And internal resolution, again, it's the same story with most DS games, or rather just these three, which I've tested. 2 to 3 times seems good enough. I'm going to just put this one to 2 times. Go to video, screen layout positioning. Now, like I say, we can actually use the top half of the screen just fine with New Super Mario Bros. But I'm going to show you if we put left to right or right to left how this looks. So, for example, I'm going to select left and right on here. I'm going to go back, visual rendering. I'm going to turn to on. And for anti-aliasing, I'm going to bump to 4 times. Color depth, 32 bits. And smooth textures to yes. So let's check out New Super Mario Bros.
Here I go.
So yeah, my Mario Brothers skills aren't quite up to scratch these days, but as you can see, that's side by side. But the one I'm using, or the one I prefer as a part of this test setup, is actually using the top part of the screen only for this. So back down to video, screen layout positioning, and I'm going to use the top only option for this one.
Here I go.
So yeah, I think I've seen better days with the old school Mario platforming games. So that's it. So like I said at the beginning of the video, DS isn't so necessarily easy as simple as most other Retrobat setups, and I think you can probably see why. So that's it for today's Retrobat and Nintendo DS setup guide. So like I said at the start, if you like today's video, just hit notifications and subscribe. It helps my channel out greatly, and it also gets you content as I upload it. Also check out my Retrobat playlist. I got a ton of Retrobat setup guides in there for many different systems. And also be sure to follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And if there's a specific video that you want me to do, a setup guide, tutorial, just take a look at my membership options and I can design and come up with a video to cover your problem that you might be facing. But until next time, stay retro!